We love to surprise and delight sailors if we can. But the first night of your very first sailing, make sure you go to the sail away party because that's where everyone is introduced and you kind of get the game plan, if you will, of who they are and what they do. Our hostess, of course, is technically the leader of our happenings crew, and she will welcome everyone and raise a glass and introduce then the rest of the team. And we don't have a cruise director, but she's the closest thing to that, if you would want to call that. But she also performs and sings and does other amazing things. But she.
What if your next cruise wasn't just a vacation, but a total reimagining of what cruising could be? No buffets, no kids, no rules, just incredible food, elevated experiences, adults only energy, and a vibe that feels more like a floating boutique resort than a traditional ship. Welcome to Sailor Sessions, the podcast that dives deep into all things Virgin Voyages, where bold design, brilliant people, and unforgettable destinations collide at sea. So I'm Mike Robbe, first mate and co-owner of Sea & Sun Travel Agency, and I made it my mission to help travelers discover what makes Virgin Voyages unlike anything else out there. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who knows Virgin Voyages from the inside out, Tracy Aldridge. Tracy is not just a key part of the Virgin Voyages sales team here in the Southeast. He's the person first mates like myself turn to when we want to know the latest scoop on new itineraries, ship updates, onboard experiences, and everything happening behind the scenes. Tracy, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to Sailor Sessions.
Hey, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here. I think you've got a great idea with this podcast and giving folks the inside scoop. And so I'm really excited to be a part of this. And you've been a fabulous first mate for us. And so I'm really looking forward to getting going and talking all things Virgin with you and your listeners.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to kick this off, being the first episode. So in episode 1, we're going to talk about why Virgin Voyages changes everything. What makes it so different from the other cruise lines? We're going to give you a first glimpse on board to the way the entire mindset around cruising has shifted, especially with Virgin, and unpacking why this isn't just another ship, it's a movement. So let's get into it. So first, I want to dive into why this podcast, why Sailor Sessions. It's because I have a passion since I first sailed on Virgin last year of just selling and sharing my story about how I enjoyed my few days on board, from the activities, the amazing dining. I've cruised since I was about 13 years old. I've cruised on very different bunch of cruise lines. We're not here to bash any other cruise line. We're just talking about what makes Virgin so awesome. But the one thing with me that I found so different was the dining, not having main dining halls, being able to go to the restaurants and not have to pay extra for specialty dining. And just the entertainment on board is so different. And so since my sailing, I've really been able to help, because I have that firsthand experience, share with my clients what they would get out of a sailing with Virgin. And so for me, that's why I started this podcast, because I just want to share more about diving in deep to how awesome this cruise line is and how there's a good majority of clients across the board that this is good for. There are a few who we'll talk about later that this might not be the best for, but just like every cruise line has their ideal client, Virgin has a market they go after. But I think that market is opening up as people get to know the brands better. And so with that, I want to throw it over to Tracy just to tell us a little bit more about his background, how long he's been in the industry with Virgin, and what his 1 or 2 favorite things about Virgin is.
All right, Mike, thanks. Yeah. Well, just real quickly, personal background. You can tell from this accent, man, I am from the South, right? So I'm here, Carolina boy, grew up here, born and raised in the Carolinas. And so I kind of got into the travel industry by accident, if you will, in the early 90s. A long story short, my wife of now 32 years was my girlfriend back then. We were dating. I graduated a year ahead of her from college. My degree in political science wasn't going to get me very far. So I took a job as a tour guide on a bus tour for a bus tour company here locally and loved it. Fell in love with the travel industry. I figured out really quickly that, man, I could actually get paid to actually go and see things. And so that's really where my love for travel started and got into this industry. And long story short, in 2022, actually in 2019, when Virgin was just being launched, I met the BDM they hired for this area. She's now one of our key account managers, a fantastic lady named Christy Woolams. And she and I kind of hit off a conversation because I'd always followed Richard Branson. And I knew that Mr. Branson had started this cruise line. And I thought, man, I think that's a cool dude. I've read his books. As a matter of fact, I got one of them right here. His last one, the remake here of this one's called Finding My Virginity. His first book was called Losing My Virginity because, everything he's done has been called Virgin. Started Virgin Records way back in the 1970s. Long story short, in 2022, I had the chance to come on as the BDM for the Carolinas here. Got to meet you and got to meet a lot of other great travel agents. We call them first mates, and fell in love with the concept of what Virgin's all about. And that's really what we're going to be talking about through this entire podcast series. I mean, there's so many things that make us unique and different and really appealing to today's cruising public. Cruising's been around for a long time, for 50 years or more, and it's changing now. And Mr. Branson is a disruptor in the industries. And that's really what we're going to share more in this podcast. And that's really what attracted me to Virgin. I didn't really want to work for the other cruise lines. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but I have found my passion in what we do as a cruise line. And we'll share more of that as we go on tonight.
Yeah. And I think for me, Virgin has ruined cruising in a good way, because for me, I mean, look, I have no problem with kids in general. As you know, our story, we're trying to adopt right now. But I don't want to deal with other people's kids personally when I'm on my vacations. That's why we like to stay at adult only, all-inclusive resorts. We like to do private group tours when we go to Europe, or do the smaller river cruises, which typically skew older. So you're not going to have children on board. And Virgin, I mean, I kept coming back last year and I was like, the best part about Virgin, no kids. And you can act like a kid yourself with the social club, karaoke, all the things that are on there.
I tell people, when you got a group of adults and you take away the distractions that children bring along with them, even if they're not your own children, and you put them on a ship and you put them out to sea and you put them around an environment with our happenings cast and with our wonderful crew on our ships, and just give them the freedom to relax and be themselves and enjoy, quiet time or enjoy fun time, whatever it might be. The dynamic is just so unique and so different. And like I said, it starts with Mr. Branson and his vision for this brand and his vision for what he wanted cruising to be. He himself never personally really liked cruising because of how it was so nickel and dime and so structured and so, no freedom involved with it. And he's like, when I create my cruise line, it's going to be the opposite of that. And like you say, there's so many possibilities when you step on board as to what kind of experience you can have. And I love that about it. I came from river cruising. You mentioned river cruising. I love that. That's a great way to see certain parts of the world, especially Europe. I love the food. I love the close atmosphere. We are a lot like a river cruise at the ocean because our ships are very intimate spaces. Even though there's 2,500 people on there, you still find these great little areas throughout the ship where you can do intimate things and have conversations with people, listen to great music, and of course, enjoy the great food. And yes, there's no children running around to disrupt things as well.
Yeah. And one of my favorite places that I like to go, especially in the evening times after dinner and some of the events and activities, was the dock for a nightcap. Just to get back there. It was kind of away from everything. It was quiet, kind of a place to kind of chill and relax. And there's a lot of those places on the ship that you can find. It's not constantly go, go, go. You can, make it whatever you want it to be. You can participate in as much. You can just hang out and kind of relax and do your own thing as well. And that's what's awesome.
Yeah, that's the environment we want. Is just give people the choice to enjoy their vacation the way they want to and on their own terms and with no strings attached and no nickel and diming and just relax and enjoy it. So we'll get more into that as we talk more tonight too.
Yeah.
A structure we want to stick with here, but so yeah, I'm so excited to be part of this family, part of this team, and really excited to share it through the podcast here, through the episodes tonight and moving forward.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into it then. Let's talk more about what sets Virgin apart from the other cruise lines by turning cruising on its head. I mean, mentioned already, no main dining rooms, restaurants are included.
Right. And it was really Mr. Branson's vision was when you come on board, it's going to be a lot like a floating boutique hotel. And you mentioned that in the intro here that, one of his big annoyances is the buffet on a typical cruise ship. Not that there's anything wrong with the food on a buffet, but at a certain point in life, I think a certain sophistication level you reach, you're like, I would just like for someone to make the order the way I want it and bring it to me. What's so hard to ask about that? We've gotten to this point in the American culture that we want to make things so easy for people that we've actually taken away that level of service that people actually enjoy and embrace. And so the concept was, hey, let's create 6 amazing specialty restaurants on our ships. Let's do like you would in a wonderful world-class city. And you make reservations and you go have a pre-dinner drink or cocktail if you want. All 6 of those restaurants have an amazing bar area. And you come in for your reservation, you go sit down, you have a nice dinner. It's already included in your cruise fare. You don't have to pay for anything unless you buy alcoholic beverages, and you can use your bar tab for that. And just really elevate that experience on the ship instead of saying, okay, everybody go to a main dining room and everyone's going to get served the same thing. And oh, by the way, it was cooked 3 hours ago. It's been in a warmer waiting for you to get there. That's the big difference I see as far as the food's concerned, is that Michelin star chefs curated all of those amazing menus in the Wake and Gun Bay and the Extra Virgin and Pink Agave and the Test Kitchen, all these wonderful restaurants that are also unique and different from each other. And then you can just go sit, relax, enjoy a true dining experience while you're in the middle of the Caribbean, the middle of the Atlantic or the Mediterranean, or even out west next year. That's the beauty of Virgin, especially from a food perspective.
Yeah, I think we had the most fun at Gumbe.
Yeah.
Obviously. But I think my favorite, because I love Mexican food, is Pink Agave.
Yeah.
That's
my wife's favorite. Yeah, my wife would agree with you. That's her favorite restaurant.
I mean, come on. You can't go bad with a ribeye with cheese on top.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. It started with some great esquites. I call it esquites crack corn because it's so good. It's addictive. And no, we don't put crack in it. But just so you know, it's really good esquites.
Yeah. And the one thing I really like too is embarkation and disembarkation is a lot different than the standard cruise line, because you board later because the cruises leave a little later. But what I loved was not having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to rush to go get something to eat and rush off the ship. We didn't leave till 10:30 off the ship. We were able to get up, pack, get ready, go upstairs, and grab some breakfast burritos and some other things up there, and then relax, have a nice, and be able to walk off too. It wasn't this hectic cattle herding experience that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And it was really just relaxing, and even embarkation, because you have the various appointment times, that it makes it easier because you don't have this crowd. There's been times on other cruise lines where we've shown up and it's like a 2.5, 3 hour wait just to get through security, check your luggage there, and then get on the ship. Yeah. It took us from the time we got out of the taxi. Now, granted, we were on a 4-night cruise, so we were just carry on.
Yeah.
But we literally gave it over to the luggage to the guys at the front there, went upstairs, checked in, because you do everything on your app ahead of time anyways.
Yeah.
And so for me, and I know a lot of cruise lines are moving to that, but the fact that you don't have to worry about a lanyard and a key card and all this other stuff. It's all on the bracelet and in your app.
Yeah.
And that, for me, being more tech savvy, and it was just nice not to have to keep pulling out a card to swipe every time I wanted a drink. It was literally just give your wristband over and they zap it and you're good to go. Like you're wearing there. And it was great.
I wish, and you do an excellent job as a top first mate, as a gold level first mate, of explaining this to new sailors, because we are attracting a lot of new people to the cruise space again. And some people maybe years ago said, "No, I'm done with cruising. I don't want to deal with it anymore." We're attracting some of those people back, and you are helping. When people come to us their first time, I wish they could almost experience us in reverse, because the question we often get is, well, why do y'all board so late on the departure day? All the other cruise lines let you on at 11 o'clock or whenever it is, 10 o'clock. And you guys, you don't let us on till like 1:30, 2 o'clock. Well, the reason is you're going to appreciate that on the last day of your sailing. When we come back into port, you don't have to get up, as you mentioned, and rush and panic and pack and get everything all together, because you got to be off of that ship by 8:30 or so. With us, you got till 10:30 to take your time that morning, go get a nice brunch at the Wake or at Razzle Dazzle, and enjoy a great breakfast while you're looking out at that port you're about to go into, and come back and pack and get your stuff together and get off the ship whenever you like. You can self-disembark with your own bag. You don't have to put it out the night before if you don't want to. You can if you want to. And it's just a relaxed way of doing it. So we want you to relax from the very beginning. Don't rush to get to the cruise port. Get there at your time. Everyone will get on. Everything will be fine. And then, of course, once you're on board, we got the free bubbles waiting for you for the sail away party. Everyone toasts, the sail away, and then you're off and just relax. So we like to say, start to finish, just chill. Everything is going to be fine. It's not that hectic feeling like you get with other cruise lines, both embarkation and disembarkation.
Yeah, it was a very simple process.
Yeah.
Other thing I'd like to talk about is, now I'm not going to say no dress code, because you can't wear flip flops and bathing suits into the restaurants, but you don't have to dress up if you don't want to.
I call it respectful casual, and you pick up on that when you step on the ship. Everybody is there just to have a good time. Nobody cares what you're wearing. It's not a competition. It's an exhibition, right? You're just there to have a good time and relax. And so just be respectful of other people, wherever you might happen to be dining and that kind of thing. And we don't have any issues with people with the dress code. Once that initial step on board hits people, they're like, oh, I get this now. We're all just here having a good time. And yeah, you're right. There's no formal nights. There's no, we're not going to pull anybody aside and say, you got to take that off or put something, it's just be yourself, but also while you're being yourself, be respectful of other people around you. And man, it just creates a wonderful experience for folks.
Yeah. And I mean, I like to dress up personally. I'm the guy who does bring a tux on board, or at least something nice for evening wear. Now, we're going to talk about this in the next episode, so we're not going to dive too deep into it. But Scarlet Night, obviously the main theme night. There are several theme nights throughout the sailings, the itineraries. And really, when I mean theme nights, it's really the club nights where they have different things. But Scarlet Night, I rocked a Magnum PI type outfit the last time just to be fun.
Yeah.
For my Halloween cruise, because it's the same night, I'm doing a red velvet jacket for dinner.
Yep.
And then going back to the room and changing into the costume for the party.
Yeah.
But I do love that it's great people watching.
It is.
First off, just sitting down on one of the benches, watching people.
And even the people are watching you too. It's all good. You don't care. I'm just being myself, having a good time. Yeah.
And that's the best part is you can be whatever you want to be, and whoever you are, you can just come on board. And the other thing I noticed too, with even the crew, always smiling, always happy to engage you. A lot of times on other cruise lines I've been on, outside of the bar staff or the entertainment staff, no one has really engaged you. They're just there to kind of be there. But wait staff, just even people just walking around that you could see work on the deck, just walking through if you're outside. But the other thing that really struck me, because I was sitting there my first time and was like, this feels like something before, because I've done yacht charters before, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, and that is, I got the feeling the way the crew dresses during the day with the shorts, with the belts, the tucked in polos, it does kind of have, and the way even the ship looks from the outside, it really does have a yacht feel to it. Yep. I mean, granted, it's 2,500 people yacht, but it's not your traditional cruise ship. And the staff, it's just, from the happenings cast to the rest of the waiters, the wait staff, those just walking around, the bar staff, everybody's engaging. They smile. They want to get to know you. By the third night, Granted, it was a 4-night cruise, but by the third night, we'd gone to the same bar a few times. He knew I wanted a rum old fashioned.
Yeah.
Already have it. When he saw me, he'd start making it.
Yeah. That starts at the top too, man. That is all by design, is that we want folks to feel like the crew is happy to be there to engage with you, and they're part of the experience. And I tell people all the time, I've told you, I think in the past, you can have the best ships, you can have the best food, you can have the best itineraries, you can have the best of everything. But if you have a crappy crew or a grouchy crew or a crew that's not happy, they can ruin all of that, because at the end of the day, it really comes down to people serving other people. And Mr. Branson sets that standard again. Every time he sets foot on a ship, he doesn't go straight to the bridge and talk to the captain. He goes down to the galley, he goes to the laundry room, he goes to the places where the lowest of the low, quote unquote, on the totem pole happen to be working. And he asks them, how are you? Are we providing everything you need? Or are you happy with what you're doing here? And if you're not, what can we do to change it? And I'm going to say to you, we mentioned earlier that, we've been in the water for 3 or 4 years now. We've evolved with everything that we've done because we listen to our crew and to our sailors and say, hey, if this isn't right, let's make it right. We don't have to keep doing things the way we've done them because we've only been doing it for a short period of time. And that's what I love about Mr. Branson's standard that he sets. He doesn't say that the customer's always right. He says the employee is the most important person because they interact with the customer. And if the employee's not happy, the customer won't be happy. And he really sets that standard. I love the fact too that our captains and our members of the upper level of crew, they don't wear the bars and the stripes and the fancy uniforms. They have nice polo shirts and it says captain, and there is a hierarchy, there is an authority level, but it's not one of these pretentious, old style of authority. It's like we're all here together to make sure everyone's happy. Our crew gets free Wi-Fi and our crew gets free access to the ship when they're not working. And they just have to wear their name tag around, and they are encouraged to interact with sailors. And we really, really think that makes a difference too.
Yeah, I mean, especially the Happenings cast, obviously. And we're going to have an episode to dive more into the Happenings cast and the various roles that each of them play, because they each have a role. But as we wind down this part of it, let's talk a bit, because there was even some confusion from my end. But let's talk about the hostess, the diva, and the Happenings cast, and just what their roles are on board the ship and where you would see them, because there's also something different with Virgin that I really loved, which is there's pop-up performances that happen, not just on Scarlet Night, but throughout. You have your events like the entertainment, dual reality, things like that, but you also have karaoke with Diva. You'll have some of the shows that are extra, but you also will have these pop-up performances that just happen throughout the different spaces in the ship. Yeah, and I mean, it was she was everywhere. It was really great. The PJ party the first night, Scarlet Night running around. We did karaoke that night, and she was dressed up in this red sequins dress and led that. And we just had a great time. We even saw her a few times in normal clothes, just walking around, because you recognize the voice after a while. I think I can't remember her full name, but it was Couture.
Yeah, we love to surprise and delight sailors if we can. But the first night of your very first sailing, make sure you go to the sail away party, because that's where everyone is introduced and you kind of get the game plan, if you will, of who they are and what they do. Our hostess, of course, is technically the leader of our Happenings crew, and she will welcome everyone and raise a glass and introduce them the rest of the team. And we don't have a cruise director, but she's the closest thing to that, if you would want to call that. But she also performs and sings and does other amazing things. But she'll introduce the rest of the gang on the Happenings crew, and there's like the gamer and the foodie and the bounce, and each one of those have their own unique skills and talents. And yeah, they'll lead fun things like trivia contests, and they'll play bingo, and they'll do pop-up things here and there throughout the ship just to keep people energized and engaged. And yet we have a diva. And here in the South, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not too sure if I want to go on a cruise line with a man dressed up like a woman. Well, I'm telling you, almost every major city and some minor cities around here all have a diva in a show somewhere. And it's really one of those things that just lightens the mood. Once you meet one of our amazing divas, whether it's Dixie Crystals or Lady Titicaca or Felicia Facade, or there's several different ones.
Yeah.
They are so engaging, so fun, so cool. and just really ready to have a good time. And they'll play bingo, they'll lead other activities on the ship. But hey, if that's not your thing, they're cool with that too. They say, hey, I can tell when someone's not into, a drag queen. Fine with me. There's 2,400 other people on the ship that are just fine with it. So, I don't know who you're talking about. Gosh, it'll come to me in a minute. Like Kitty Couture or something like that.
Yeah, but she was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting because I know in August they'll release the cast for my October sailing that I'll be on. So I'm excited to see who'll be on there for that.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for that, by the way, everyone listening, because we're working to try to get part of an episode recorded live on the ship, and hopefully bring in some special guests on board for that podcast. But I'll be on the Halloween sailing October 29th out of Miami. We're sailing to Key West and Bimini, and we're going to have a blast. We're in Key West on Halloween. And so if you're interested, by the way, quick plug, contact me because there's still space available, and love to have you join us. There's a ton of us that are going, and we're going to have a blast.
Yeah. We do all the holidays great. I'm telling you, but Halloween on a Virgin cruise will be a lot of Instagrammable moments. I can promise.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. It's my first Halloween cruise, and I can't wait, and I'm hoping to do more of them. But let's jump into, for first timers, frequently asked questions that I get a lot of my clients, and misconceptions as well. So you being the Virgin expert, I'll ask, you answer them. So for someone who's not a cruiser, I say perfect, because if you don't have that cruise background, Virgin's going to spoil it for you, the way I look at it. But what do you say to people who aren't cruisers who are looking to join and do Virgin as their first cruise?
Yeah, I will warn you, if you do us as your first cruise, you probably won't do anyone else afterwards. But hey, we will take you. And like I mentioned earlier, we are attracting so many people that are new to cruise because they see, they maybe have nibbled around the edge, maybe gone on a cruise in the past, and they're like, nah, it's not for me. But they see that we're different than the other cruise lines. And we embrace people. We get a lot of people who do all-inclusive resorts and love that kind of atmosphere and the way things are just already included for you, because we're the same way on the ship. So if you're new to us and you're just kind of curious, we love that. We want you just to come and ask questions, explore everything you need to explore, be who and what you are, and just, no judgment whatsoever. So we have no problem with newbies. And it only takes 3 sailings for you to become a part of our sailing club. So you can quickly, gain status with us since we're a new cruise line.
And what I've been doing with some new Virgin cruisers, sailors, is if they're a little unsure, just like I was, I did the 4-night cruise because I was like, why start with a 7 if you don't like it? Then you're kind of stuck on it. I wish I had done 7 because it was just out of this world, but there are the 4-night, 5-night cruises that you can start with. Yeah. And those are always, for me, a great entry point for most non-cruisers who are looking to experience Virgin, or any cruise really for that matter, just to see if they like it.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we do, the shortest that we do is a 4-night. A lot of times the 3-night cruises get that reputation of being, what they call the booze cruise, that people just go to get drunk and that kind of thing. And I like the fact that it's a 5-day, 4-night, so it's got a little more time for you to actually enjoy the ship and get as much of the food that you can, because there's 6 amazing restaurants and you only got 4 nights that you can eat. But I also say, Mike, if someone has got the time and they want to jump into a 7-night sailing, even if you're a first timer, do it. Just go ahead and do it. 99% of the people are going to come back and say, man, why didn't I do that the first time?
And two, one of the reasons you want to work with a first mate like myself is because we can help select the right cabin for you. So if you're someone who is maybe concerned about being seasick, or we can put you on a lower deck, we can put you on, different places on the boat depending on. So one thing I love is I try to always select no public spaces above or below my cabins for my clients, because I've done that myself where I've just, gotten a last minute booking and you're kind of thrown in a cabin. I happen to have the nightclub right below me. And so you hear Boots and Cats all night till 1 or 2 in the morning. And so that's one of the things I try to do too for my clients is that, but definitely, I mean, had I do over again and I had the time too, because I just happened to have those 5 days to work there. And because my wife and I booked it, I think 10 days before the cruise. And another thing too is with reservations, because we are talking about dining, but Reservations are open 45 days in advance for sea terraces and below, and 60 for Rockstar quarters.
Right.
We booked 10 days. When we went on the app, we couldn't book anything. We got on board the ship, we got whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
Because
there's a big misconception. We talk about misconceptions out there, and that is one that, if I don't get my restaurants booked at that 45-day or 60-day window, then I won't be able to eat. No, we actually do not sell out or book up all of the reservations, because there are people like you who do sign up within that 45-day window. And so we hold some back. As soon as you get on the ship, you go down to, deck 5, down to Razzle Dazzle, to the dining services people, and they'll work out reservations for you on your sailing. So don't panic and by the way, if for some reason you do have to eat at the galley one night, which is our wonderful area up on deck 15, where the food court is, they are now doing like beef Wellington and turkey and dressing. I mean, they're doing amazing entrees at the galley space that are just as good
on every
in the
on the sailings, the shorter sailings, you get at least
you're not going to go hungry. I can promise you that. And remember, all the food's included.
Longer sailings, you can possibly go 2 times depending on the restaurants. Another thing I get is, obviously, I have actually gotten this question a couple of times. Will I get bored on the cruise ship? Will I get bored on Virgin? And I laugh because I'm like, no, you're not. No matter how much you want to participate or not, you will not be bored. Right. But another question I do get, and I'll have you answer this, is, will some people feel out of place on Virgin?
Yeah. I can't put myself in other people's shoes, but I would say, if you are easily offended, or if you have somewhat of an attitude that people that are different from you, or shouldn't be near you or around you, then it's possible. But if you're one of those people who listen, I let other people do their own thing, I do my own thing, I don't worry about anybody else, then no, you're not going to be offended. But it just depends. Since we are an adults only cruise line, and since we do embrace everyone, and we're very happy to have anyone from any walk of life come on board, we don't judge, and we don't ask people to be judged. So, but like I said, 99% of the people who come on board just get that feeling of man, this is so great. People can just relax and be themselves. And you mentioned it too. There may be a small percentage of people that are just a little bit uptight about life, and and they just don't want to see things that they're not used to seeing. And maybe that would make them uncomfortable, but there's no public nudity. There's no, displays of affection. We have standards that we have. And like I said, that respect level that you just know that everyone feels is just so pervasive throughout the sailing. You just feel like everyone's there to make everyone else feel good and accepted and appreciated and loved.
Yeah. And I think, my experience I've been to over 30 countries, and I kind of just practice the golden rule. Yeah. Treat others as you want to be treated, and they typically will treat you the same way. Yeah. Sometimes I've been in countries where just a language barrier or something, I'm having to communicate with a phone or a book or something to try and get across what I'm looking for. But for the most part, especially with technology today, with the apps you have on a phone you can download ahead of time, as long as you're trying to respect other people, even if you don't necessarily agree with wherever their culture is from,
right?
They typically are going to respect you.
Right.
And that's what I found. There's been times when I've been in certain countries where I've been asked to eat something that I most likely would never eat, but because it was given to me as a gift from the host that I was there for, I took a bite of it. I might not have enjoyed it, but I smiled, grinned, and did it. And I think too, outside of I think 2 clients that have ever qualified, I've recommended not Virgin because of just what they were looking for, more of the traditional cruise line anyways, where they want the main dining room, dress up at night, do the balls and all that. Fine. But here's another question I get is the Rockstar Suite worth it? Now, I've done mine, and I think it depends on, are you trying to upgrade? Because you might lose a few of the things like the dining reservations because you don't know until a few days before your cruise. But if you're buying it outright, like I have some sailors doing now, I think if you're looking for Richard's Rooftop, the daily get together they have up there with champagne and the drinks,
Yeah.
And you get the bar service in your room. There's so many extras that I think, depending on the sailing and what suite category you get, I think it is worth it. It just depends on, do you want to go, hey, I mean, it says it all, rock star quarters, right?
Mike, I'll tell you, the suites sell out before anything else on our ships. There are rare occasions that there might be a couple of suites left, on certain categories as you depart, and you get a chance to bid up to those if they're still available. But the higher end suites, the more desirable suites, in my opinion, sell out first. That tells you that sailors have determined that there is a value to it. Now, every person has their own value proposition. Some people, like me, I'm pretty happy with simplicity. I'm okay with a sea terrace cabin with a normal size bathroom and that kind of stuff. Other people are like, no, I like the sea terrace, but I want a bigger bathroom. So they go for the sea
Yeah.
terrace XL with a little larger bathroom. Other people are like, I like a balcony, but I sure would like to have a little bit of a sitting area and maybe even a powder room. Well, then you jump up to a nicer suite. And then other people are like, if I'm going to go on this thing and this is my anniversary or this is my big birthday or whatever it might be, I'm
Yeah.
going to go Mac Daddy, and I'm going to be the big dog on the ship. Money's not a concern for me. Give me the massive suite, and there you go. So, yeah, I mean, it's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, value is in the eye of the spender, and the fact that they sell out pretty much means that most people find good value in them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in my room much. So for me, a balcony room's perfect because I get a little fresh air. I can go out, hang out in those hammocks. I'm good to go. But if I had a large group, like I'm doing my 49th birthday, we're going to do a cruise.
There you go.
And so for that one, yeah, I'm probably going to, because it's my birthday cruise,
Yeah.
get a bunch of people together for it. I will probably want a suite so I can host some people up there and hang out a bit pre-dinner and things like that. Absolutely. But that's my personal thing.
Yeah, yeah. And anybody who's watching this and maybe sailing with us in the future, if you walk around the ship and you see people with a black wristband, those are our suite guests. And you're in just a regular cabin, that's perfectly fine. Maybe you're in an insider or a sea view. Go up to those folks in the suite and just chat with them for a few minutes. Get to know them a little bit, be sociable and talk to them about their experience of the suite. They'll tell you whether they think it's worth it or not.
Yeah.
And you might even get a chance to go check it out while you're on there. And get invited up to Richard's rooftop for a cocktail at 5 o'clock in the afternoon too.
Yeah, and I've had sailors tell me that they absolutely love it. So, like you said, I think it's all about the value that you perceive, and if you're going to utilize the amenities that come with it too. If you're not big into drinking and partying, then maybe not. But for those who are doing a milestone celebration or something else, go big. I mean, let's do it.
I have several friends who are teetotaler non-drinkers, and for whatever reason they might be, they still love the suites because there's stuff, there's a bar in there, but you can also ask for all the non-alcoholic stuff. You can have some cocktails and you can have soft drinks, whatever. Those soft drinks are already included for us. But that service level you get from a rock star agent, they appreciate that. And so and if they're just there to chill and be quiet and have their own quiet time in their suite, that's fine too. So it's really up to each individual's, desires once they get on board.
Yeah. And the last question is one where, because everything does revolve in the app where you want to book things out, grog walk, those types of things. But I do I have to plan everything or can I just kind of show up? And I say, you can go with the flow. If you're a planner and want to have everything planned out, you can set your agenda up in the app. You can have your first mate help you do that as well. Or if you just want to show up like I like to do.
Play it by ear.
And just kind of whatever I'm in the mood for that night. Because there was a couple of nights where we had things planned and we were like, let's go do this instead. Yeah. And so instead of going to see one of the shows, we went and did karaoke or trivia or something else. And so I always tell people, if you're the super planner, you can definitely plan everything out from the shore things to everything. But the really cool part about Virgin is just like with the reservations for dinner where there's always some seats available. Yeah. There's always going to be, it's not like if you don't book it on the app that you can't show up to a show because there's no tickets and things. So it's just a way to add to remind you. But I always just tell people, if you just want to get on and party and have a good time and you end up meeting a group of people who you really are chatting it up with, stay at the bar, hang out, maybe go to one of the lounges, listen to some live music. But if you really want to go see one of the shows, go see the show.
Yeah. My wife and I are sailing pretty soon in August here coming up, of course. And she's a planner. She likes to have everything laid out. We're going to do this. I'm like, hey, let's play it by ear. But, we can plan things, and I've already got my whole app filled up with stuff that we're planning to do, but none of it costs me anything for the most part. If you do shore experiences, of course, there's a charge for that. But all the activities on the ship, for the most part, are no charge. So if I don't want to go do something and it's on my agenda, I don't have to. It's not like they're going to come hunt me down and say, you said you were going to this show at 8:00 tonight. Well, no, I'm having a conversation here. This is perfectly fine. Even the meals, if you're not going to show up for a particular reservation, let them know. Go ahead and cancel it on your app so other people can take that time if you want. But it is really what you want it to be. And I love the fact that there's no pressure. The cruise culture, though, has taught people in the past that, you better have all this stuff lined up.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's going to cost you extra to do it when you get on the ship, or it's going to, mess up your whole schedule. With us, we're like, no, it's fine. Relax, enjoy it. You don't have to show up to everything that you might have put on your agenda.
So let's spend a few minutes here as we wrap up. Who should sail on Virgin? We've mentioned a few times, maybe some people won't, but I think 99% of people would probably be super happy. But what are some of the groups that you see the majority of sailing on Virgin?
Yeah. Well, let's just start with this point. And then our president Normal made this point not long ago. He said, listen, if you are traveling without children, Virgin should at least be in your discussion of, an option for you. Now, as you do, you qualify people based on what they want to experience, maybe what they've had past experiences, maybe what they appreciate. I come from a background called the consultative sales process, where you start with a broad question and you narrow it down. And that's what you do as a travel professional. And that's maybe one reason people are watching this podcast right now, is to get that education. So I'll say, if you're traveling without kids and you're over 18, you should consider us. But then after that, if you enjoy great food, if you enjoy a beautiful yacht style ship, if you like different and engaging entertainment, if you like really fun atmosphere but no pressure to participate, and you like a no judgment zone, client base, I think we should still be in the conversation. Now, I think one reason they hired me in this role here in the Carolinas is I'm a pretty conservative person personally. I come from, I don't mind telling you, Southern Baptist roots, man. I was president of my Future Farmers of America. I understand and get the fact that there are people who are somewhat very conservative in their religious beliefs or social beliefs and that kind of thing too. But that being said, some of the people in that category have the best time on Virgin Voyages because they can just come and forget about all that and just relax and watch other people be themselves too. So you don't have to be any sort of, political persuasion or cultural persuasion. It doesn't matter. As long as you're willing to accept other people for who and what they are, you're going to have a great time. And other people are going to accept you that way too. So
I agree.
That's kind of how I look at the entire organization.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the first episode of Sailor Sessions, where we explore all reasons Virgin Voyages is truly changing the way we cruise. A big thank you to Tracy Aldridge for joining me on this very first voyage of the podcast. Sailor Sessions is proudly sponsored by Sea and Sun Travel Agency, where we help travelers like you experience premium, elevated travel that goes far beyond ordinary. From ocean cruises to curated land journeys, we take care of everything, so all you have to do is relax and enjoy a stress-free trip. Thanks again, Tracy. I really appreciate you coming on as a featured guest, and I know you're going to be back. We've got you back for the next episode as well, where we're going to talk about Scarlet Night, and then we've also got a few other things, but thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure, Mike. I tell you, I think people today are looking for real, transparent, authentic experiences and real, transparent, authentic people to plan those for them. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. And that's what this podcast is really about. It's just like pulling back the curtain and saying, here's who we are. Let's just be real about what's going on. So thank you so much for letting me come on and for giving us this opportunity to talk more about Virgin.
Absolutely.
And you're a great guy, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. So now here's something fun for August. The first 15 Virgin Voyages bookings made directly through me, you will receive up to $150 in Sailor Loot, plus 2 entries into our Virgin Voyages swag bag giveaway, which is happening September 1st. Here's the breakdown. $50 in sailor loot for Insider or Sea View cabins, $100 for Sea Terraces, and $150 for Rockstar quarters. There is no purchase necessary to enter the swag drawing. A link to enter is free in the show notes or the description. But if you're ready to sail, this is your chance for a little something extra. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, comment, and share sailor sessions with fellow cruisers, travelers, or those who want to learn more about Virgin Voyages. On our next episode, we'll pull back the curtain on Scarlet Night, what to wear, where to be, and how to soak it all in. After that, we'll dig into dining on board, hopefully with a special guest, and talk about cabin vibes on our Cabin Talk episode later in August, as well as the debut of Brilliant Lady. Again, I'm Mike Robbe, and thank you for tuning in to Sailor Sessions. Until next time, keep sailing smart, bold, and in style.